In this third, maybe final installment of I guess, the differential slash similarities on the astrological levels of being and existing, in which I'll most likely come up with a video as far as the cycles of nature in connection with astrology. I think I left off at left off that Gemini and Sagittarius, basically. And if I've mentioned before, if I haven't mentioned before, I'll mention it now, that when it comes to when it comes to those levels of communication, basically, it's all about basically the things that are, going to be communicated one way or the other. Whereas versatility is a key when it comes to Gemini. Versatility, and when it comes to communication, whether it be online, texting, or even face-to-face, or over the phone, of course. And Sagittarius prefers to do it, like I said, face-to-face. I think I might have mentioned that before. But the reason why it's like that, because for one, Gemini doesn't like to be one-dimensional, so to speak. They like to be versatile when it comes to their levels of expression. So this is why they come up with a bunch of different faces, if you will. Not necessarily being fake for the most part, although that is their ability. It is something that is a tendency to be there, if you will. And so it's not good, it's not bad either. So all depends on how you look at it. Sagittarian, basically, energy, they're just direct. Like I said, they like to get it out the way, get it in front of you, so that you, the attitude the attitude of Sagittarians is, you get it, okay, you got it, all right, good, I'm out of here. So a lot of different gestures, hand gestures, movements of the body, basically, as far as demonstrating what is and what isn't. That's Sagittarian energy. This is why they are what they are, because they don't like to waste time being in one spot at one particular time, especially if it's not something that's, something that lets them expand. If it restriction that they feel restricted, that's when they're going to like, oh, I don't want to be here much longer. So, and to symbolize it, if you will, sometimes I recognize the symbol of Sagittarius being the archer or the centaur, with the bow and arrow, about to let loose that arrow, basically, going forward, which is truthful because, like I said before, they like to be direct. However, there are also depictions of that centaur basically putting the bow and arrow behind them, like they're going to shoot behind them. And it's like, well, why did it change? Well, I can look at both sides as being truthful as far as the symbol is concerned. If you check out old astrology books, if you will, the older astrology books basically will show you that that symbol, which is what I took for myself, basically me studying it as long as I have. Sometimes Sagittarians can be so deep into a situation, deep into a philosophy, deep into a culture, deep into a lifestyle, if you will, that they kind of forget who they are as far as their base selves, because they don't want to restrict themselves to that one-dimensional way of thinking, being, and existing, if you will, which is not necessarily, well, yeah, well, that's the way they are. When it comes to that, they kind of like the bow and arrow at that point, if it's going behind them, so to speak, the whole thing is don't forget where you came from. So it's almost like they put bow and arrows as far as markers, as far as where they were before they went where they went. It may have ventured off too far, which is probably why Sagittarian energy, which rules the ninth house, that represents long distance travel. And of course their opposites, quote unquote, which is Gemini, rules short distance travel. Gemini can do long distance travel, however, they get bored so quickly that to go one direction for a long period of time, they're like, okay, where's the versatility in this? Where's the versatility in that? As far as, if I can't put on multiple ways of multiple forms of expression as far as my journey is concerned, well, I can't turn this direction or turn that direction, which will basically allow me to have a certain face or a certain expression, excuse me, as far as, being who I am, then I got a problem with that, and I feel restricted that way. But either way, by them being fire and air, they don't like restriction at all whatsoever. And relating to them, basically, it's all about communication more than anything else. It's all about communication. You can't communicate, you might not want to choose neither one of these people for a relationship. So, but definitely not a Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is always on the move, basically. And Sagittarius are not really huge on committed relationships unless that committed relationship allows them to be free as far as what they want to do, who they want to be, or what have you. So, but with that, like I said before, 50% alike, 50% unlike. What's the 50% that is like? Communication, demonstrating what they know, demonstrating how they think about things. With the whole factor of Gemini being I think, which is their motto, and Sagittarius is I see. They're more than willing to explain what they see as far as Sagittarians is concerned, and Geminis are more apt to telling you what they think. Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all, is what it is. But with that comes the next two signs, the polar opposites, but like I said, 50-50, 50 same, 50 not the same. Cancer and Capricorn. The main things that keep them to keep the similarities going, if you will, the similarities between those two is security. What do you mean security? Well, for one, they have to make sure they're protected from any kind of people who wish to do them harm, not necessarily on the physical realm, but also in the financial realm, reputation, just anything that basically violates their personal space. For Cancer is definitely how close you all get to them for the most part. And by it being water, Cancer's attitude is, I like to take things slow. I don't want you to get close to me that quickly, because if that happens, I'm going to basically be very defensive towards you. Can't be helped. And that's especially towards their home, which is their house, their humble abode, if you will. Capricorns are the same way. However, they're a little bit more open, because their attitude is, hey, if I don't like what I see, if I don't like what I feel for the most part, I'm going to always tell you to get out, basically. Whereas Cancer is like, well, you're not going to go anywhere near my home unless, for one, I come to a spot basically to where I'm secure with you. So, but the Cancer factor, when it comes to finances, and Capricorn factor, Capricorn builds finances based upon practicality, and they like to basically keep a well-oiled machine going based upon just wanting to be prepared at all times as far as finances are concerned, and organizing, because that's what they do. I organize, they organize, they organize. Even though I organize is not their motto is I use, meaning if I cannot use this person, this place, this thing, this situation to my financial advantage, if you will, or something I can build upon later on a tangible level, 9 times out of 10, Capricorn's not going to be around it. I guess what's the saying goes, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Then you got Cancer, basically, which is kind of like the same thing. But Cancer is more of an emotional factor. Cancer sometimes, or most of the times, prepares for the big boom, so to speak, like, the big financial crisis, whatever that is. And they do that a lot because, for one, their attitude is it's like you never know what's going to happen. So is it a bit of paranoia there? More or less. But quite frankly, in this case, when it comes to Cancer, they don't mind being a little paranoid. They don't mind being a little paranoid at all. So when it comes to that, protection is everything, which is why they rule that crab, that hard shell, soft and middle factor. And the whole thing as far as getting to know that Cancer is take your time, small talk, little things here and there, because Cancer is going to use their intuition like most, if not all, water signs do. They're going to find out and check who you are. They're going to check who you've been around, etc. They're going to check for you emotionally, especially, like, are you the kind of individual that I can trust? That's the main thing. Trust is huge with Cancers. Huge. Because quite frankly, you violate their trust, they can be quite vindictive. So can Capricorns, for that matter. Because if their attitude is like, if you violate my trust, especially when it comes to my money, you bring out pretty much a potentially violent disposition there. Maybe not so, with Capricorn to a low degree, but Cancer to a high degree. Because, like I said before, it's all about security. Cannot be helped. Now, when it comes to how they go about things factor, Cancer likes to keep everything private more than anything else, which is Capricorn likes to do the same thing too. They can't help it. Privacy is good, but at the same time, Capricorns know they have to trust somebody in order to move things forward. But the emotional factor, Capricorn don't do that. The Capricorn's attitude is the more emotional I am, the more apt I'm going to make mistakes. So I have to make sure I'm as emotionally distant as possible, which is why they often are called the coldest people in the zodiac. But can't be helped. Their attitude is like, I'm focused, but when they do fall in love, they fall hard. And they have a high tendency to lose their sense of logic when they fall in love. And so how did you do that? Well, because for one, it goes back to their ideas of emotionalism. Their attitude is like, when it comes to emotionalism, you lose logic. And they're somewhat the same way. They kind of like lose their sense of what's correct, basically, or what's practical, as opposed to, as opposed to what is right within their hearts. And it's like, okay. And usually they get that way with a friend, basically. It's someone they know for a long time and they feel that's worth it, and they're worthy. But responsibility is king and queen to a Capricorn. If you don't have that, don't be bothered being with friends with them. Don't bother being in a relationship with them on a romantic level, and definitely do not do business with them if you're not responsible. They will pick up on that quickly and they will cut you off. Same thing with Cancer, but their whole thing is, can you take care of me emotionally? Because if you can take care of me emotionally, I will trust you big time. I will basically give you the shirt off my back, and I will basically give you a lot of things, but do not betray me, whatever you do. As a matter of fact, if there's anything that you need to tell me, basically tell me. Even if it's a situation where someone is actually trying to entice you to betray me, they want to know about it. Cancers are the secret keepers, which is why most of the time a lot of people like to come to them to hold secrets, because no matter how bad the secret is, no matter how good the secret is, they want to make sure that secret is held. Other than that, that's pretty much it on that aspect, basically. But the next factor, Leos and Aquarius. Ooh-wee. Leo, life of the party. Whole thing about them ruling the sun. The whole thing about the Leo and Aquarian factor is, how do you treat the people that you're around? They are very inclusive when it comes to getting people around, because they believe in loyalty. They believe in having a nice, strong team of survival, so to speak. They believe in making sure that everybody got theirs. That is, the higher-minded ones, anyway. Very people-oriented, both sides, basically. Leo is more people-oriented when it comes to naturally the entertainment gatherings, if you will, which is why they are usually the entertainers of the zodiac. They're into making people laugh. Everything has to be lively, because unlike their predecessor, Cancer, which is very quiet, very secretive, and only gets out there when gets out and open, so to speak, when people are worthy of trust. However, Leo has a versatility when it comes to acting. What I mean by that is this: their thing is, you try to embarrass me, I'm going to make damn sure that the roles are reversed and you end up being embarrassed. Because one thing about Leos, the whole laughing at myself and make everybody laugh with them, it gives everybody a sense of, you know what, it's okay to be a fool around this individual, because he or she is going to accept it. Because their attitude is like, hey, the whole thing is you have to learn how to laugh at yourself, and that's one of Leo's biggest mottos. And their attitude is, don't dare Leo to do anything. Their motto is, I will, for a reason. This includes especially any kind of challenge in any way, shape, or form. Those challenges will